first. Presenting Mr. Robert Vinson, Mr. Piff is his Hall of Fame, is his son, Robert.
That was a change. Looking at the program, I thought, well, I'm going to be sitting here for a while. Now here I am. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here and introduce to you my dad. Unfortunately, Dad could not be here tonight, but I want to tell you a little bit about him. Most of you know Dad, Robert Belton Vinson, as Mr. Piff. And most of you have known him as he has served as alderman here in Magee. In fact, you've known him so well until you elected him to 6 different terms as alderman. That's 24 years. That's quite a recognition for you guys. But Dad is 90 years old, and he's told me a lot about, even when he was growing up here in Magee, of seeing the things he has seen. He remembers seeing the linemen come through with the first telephone lines going across Magee. I told him, I said, yet today we carry our cell phones and we listen to what's going on across the world. But that willingness to help and continue to move Magee toward a worthwhile future was also seen by the peers on the Board of Aldermen, and they elected him as Mayor Pro Tem. But he's seen a lot of changes here in Magee. He's seen the sports complex, the lighting there on Highway 49, and just so many different things over 24 years. But rather than trying to mention some of those, what I would rather do is tell you a little bit about Dad. When he was 19 years old, he was working up in Connecticut. And he got a letter from his dad, and it said that the draft for World War II was going on. And if he wanted to join a specific branch of the service, he needed to come home. So he did, and he ended up joining the Coast Guard in New Orleans, and they sent him to Virginia to train war dogs. Well, war dogs, they used those to patrol the beaches and the coastlines in case there was some type of enemy intrusion. Well, the dog that he was assigned to was named Vodka, because the dog was raised in a bar. So if you have any questions about Vodka, you'll have to ask Dad. He was later reassigned to a ship, the LST-770, and that was a ship actually built for World War II, and it was used to carry men and supplies and equipment across the Pacific. And in Dad's case, they were going to the Philippines. But he talked about, as they were going across, they stopped in Hawaii at Pearl Harbor. And he said he remembers sailing into Pearl Harbor and seeing the remains of the Arizona. And he said they all stood at attention and saluted as they passed. Today, of course, we see the memorial that's set up, but he saw it after it had happened. After he got to the Philippines, one of his duties was to drive an LCDP. An LCDP, you've probably seen them on the movies. They were a small craft that carried men and equipment up to the shoreline, and the front would drop open and men would go up on shore. He said a lot of those guys would go over the side of the LCDP because you could hear bullets ricocheting off of the front, and they didn't want to be there when that door dropped open, so they'd go over the side. After the war, Dad went to Jones Junior College, and there he met my mom, Dolores. They were married, and a little later I came along, and then my sister. But a lot of you have seen Dad as he would drive a motorcycle. Many of you have seen him around on that motorcycle. Well, those motorcycle days actually started in right after World War II when he was there at Jones Junior College. And he has a little story about that I've heard him tell before. He said that he and Mom were riding along, and this when they were dating. I think then they might have called it sparking. Well, they were riding along, and Dad decided he wanted to pull over. And so he pulled over, and he got twisted around. He was going to get a little kiss. And what he didn't realize was his breeches legs was up against the spark plug wire, which was worn. And so when they kissed, sparks jumped between them. Now, that really happened. And I think right then they both decided, wow, don't let this one get away. But anyway, in 1978, Dad started a business here in Magee, Country Printer, and he actually built it from a small barn that was behind his house that he worked in when he was a kid. And he enjoyed doing business here in Magee because he got to see a lot of his friends and do business with them and people he had gotten to know over a lifetime of being here in Magee. But let me see where I am on this little talk, toward the end. But I did ask him one time, I said, Dad, what made you decide you wanted to live in Magee and be here? He said, you know, we could have been anywhere, but Magee is different. He said, in Magee, you get to raise family in an atmosphere of church and school and friends. You get to know people, and you can really make a difference. And that's what made him decide, and he said he had decided that early on in life. Well, I wanted to tell you that both Mom and Dad really wanted to be here tonight, but we're just not able to be here. We thought they were going to be here up until just a few hours ago, actually. But he wanted me to thank all of you for this honor. He wanted to say that on his behalf there, to thank the Chamber, its members, its officers, and the committees. And he really appreciates this. Thank you very much.
Of lasting community contributions and service, the Magee Chamber of Commerce proudly recognizes and inducts Robert B. Vinson into the the Magee Chamber of Commerce Hall of Fame.
That's
And
great.
he knows how much we love him. You do too.
Yeah. He will be seeing this shortly.